Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily News. I'm Nicholas Richardson. A historic summit is taking place in Washington, D.C., and historic decisions are being made. For the first time expanded to include Sweden and Finland, the alliance has decided on the largest support to date for Ukraine's air defence. However, NATO is not forgetting its own security either. Developing national armies and strengthening the eastern flank is a priority. Our very own Michał Rachon is in Washington, D.C.
I welcome you from Washington, the capital of the United States, where the 75th anniversary summit of the North Atlantic Pact is taking place. This summit is making important decisions about the security of the pact itself, and for the first time is being held with the pact's new members, Finland and Sweden. The decisions being taken at the moment include support for Ukraine, Patriot missiles, and short-range systems to protect Ukrainian cities. But above all, there are decisions about what NATO was created for: the security of the citizens of the members of the alliance. The eastern flank remains a priority, which is crucial for us because of the Russian Federation and its aggression. The decisions taken by the North Atlantic Pact address the protection of the eastern border. One for all and all for one. This slogan is meant to unite NATO more than usual. In the face of the Russian threat, the Allies are giving Ukraine another argument to defend itself against the enemy, this time from the air.
Engage tactical ballistic missiles.
Today, I'm announcing a historic donation of air defense equipment for Ukraine. The United States, Germany, the Netherlands, Romania, and Italy will provide Ukraine with the equipment for 5 additional strategic air defense systems. And in the coming months,
these are mainly additional batteries of the Patriot missile system, as well as components and hundreds of interceptor missiles and other short-range systems. Quite an arsenal, and the largest ever support of Ukrainian air defense since the beginning of the Russian aggression. The fact that Ukraine will now get many more systems and medium-range systems such as Patriot, but also modern short-range systems, means that Ukrainians will not only secure their cities better, they will probably no longer have to make the choice of either protecting cities and civilians or troops. With Allied help, perhaps Putin's next barbaric plans, like the one to attack a children's hospital, may be stopped.
Make strong decisions, work to act and not to wait for November or any other month to this end. We must be strong and uncompromising.
This summit is important to strengthen the alliance bond, to show the whole world that we stand together, stand firm and will resist any danger. In addition to comprehensive aid to Ukraine, NATO member countries are also thinking about strengthening their own security, especially the eastern flank, and also spending 2 to as much as 3% of GDP on defence. Polish President Andrzej Duda emphasised the importance of this spending both at the summit and in a special interview with TV Republika. I will do everything on my part so that the level of defence spending is not reduced. We must modernise our army, we must strengthen it. We must have a bigger army, we must achieve the potential so that no one dares to attack us. This is the most important goal we want to achieve. Countries, especially in this region, need to strengthen militarily. Additional resources, soldiers and equipment are also needed on the eastern flank. The North Atlantic Alliance understands this threat and does not remain passive.
The reality is there are no cost-free options with an aggressive Russia as a neighbor. There are no risk-free options in a war. And remember, the biggest cost and the greatest risk will be if Russia wins in Ukraine. We cannot let that happen.
The alliance's tough stance in a difficult time of war, Joe Biden awarded outgoing NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States. The Washington Summit is the last one under Stoltenberg's chairmanship, but the first involving 32 allies, after the accession of Sweden and Finland, and also the first attended by the new British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. The Allies are united because the security of all of us is at stake. Martin Shevchak, TV Republika.
The Powiat Inspector of Building Supervision in Tarnobrzeg is asking local government officials about facilities for the collective accommodation of refugees, MEP Dominik Tarczynski has revealed. He published on social media a document sent to local government officials on the matter. But don't be alarmed. After all, Prime Minister Tusk assured us that nothing of the sort would happen, and besides, we are the beneficiaries of the Migration Pact. Nobody in Brussels is going to outwit Tusk.
A letter concerning the indication of places where refugees can be accommodated has been received by all municipalities comprising the Powiat of Tarnobrzeg. The Powiat Inspectorate of Building Supervision in Tarnobrzeg would like to know if there are any buildings for the collective accommodation of refugees in your municipality. Please indicate the addresses and the persons in charge of the above-mentioned facilities. Tarnobrzeg's starost, Paweł Bartoszek, gave assurances that they are for refugees from Ukraine. However, this was not specified in the letter. The letters were addressed to the offices of cities and municipalities, only in connection with routine activities concerning the inventory of objects listed in the law of the 12th of March 2022 on assistance to citizens of Ukraine in connection with the armed conflict on the territory of the country. The case is of particular interest because at the beginning of June, TV Republika obtained documents with similar content. I would like to request the identification of the locations of facilities that can be used for the mass influx of foreigners into the territory of the Republic of Poland, other than those covered by the assistance under the Act and assistance to Ukrainian citizens. This paints a very different picture from the one presented by those in power. According to Prime Minister Donald Tusk, Poland should be a beneficiary of the Migration Pact. Poland will not accept any migrants under the Migration Pact. Meanwhile, a few days ago, a meeting was held in the Pomorskie Voivodeship to present, among other things, a strategy for the intercultural integration of migrants. Today, we received participants of the Business Unusual program, implemented by the Stocznia Foundation. The aim of the program is to support organizations and informal groups working on behalf of people with a migrant or refugee background. This is newspeak. We don't say illegal migrants, we say people with migrant backgrounds. We falsify reality to fit in with trends. The civic platform's message is dominated by a narrative of paramount concern for the safety of Poles. The reality is quite different. More letters are coming out, showing that not only do they want to take in illegal immigrants, but that the process has already begun. In addition, on the western side of Poland, German police are carrying out pushbacks of migrants. This is done with a passive attitude on the part of the Polish border guards. Compared to 2022, immigrants committed 15% more crimes, are the figures from German statistics. It is probably for this reason that Germany has pushed for the Migration Pact so hard in the European Union, according to which the countries of Central Europe will have to accept illegal migrants, in the name of European solidarity, of course. Łukasz Żmuda, TV Republika.
Failure to provide assistance to migrants on the Belarusian side of the border. These are the charges the Siedlce prosecutor's office wants to bring against the defenders of Poland's borders. This dates back to the situation in 2021, when Polish border defenders prevented a group of Afghans from crossing the border and stopped a group of activists and politicians from the current ruling coalition. Investigators are also to check whether there are chances of charges against Polish soldiers and officers in other already closed proceedings.
This is about the events of the year 2021. A group of illegal immigrants had set up camp on the Belarusian side of the border near Ushnas Dolny. At the time, politicians from the current ruling coalition and activists were trying to reach the foreigners on the other side of the border. According to journalists from the niezależny.pl portal, the policemen who stopped them are now under the magnifying glass of the prosecutor's office.
Jest prawdopodobieństwo, że niektórym funkcjonariuszom czy Straży Granicznej, czy Policji, czy żołnierzy...
There is a possibility that some officers of the border guard or the police or soldiers will be charged. And that's where the statements were made that these officers may have committed a crime simply by not wanting to let some migrants into Poland.
Przestępstwo po prostu nie chcąc wpuścić niektórych migrantów do Polski.
The case involves, among other things, a group of 32 Afghan nationals. As we read, it is about using violence against the victims, forcing them with unlawful threats to stay on the territory of Belarus. Evidence is currently being gathered to determine whether the incidental event signalled in the notices of suspension of crimes involving officers exceeding their powers in the application of the legal procedure of so-called pushbacks took place and whether they exhausted the elements of a crime. The investigation in January, shortly after the new government was sworn in, was launched by a district prosecutor's office in Warsaw. In May, the investigation was moved to Siedlce, where a pushback investigation team is in place. Prosecutors are also reinvestigating cases that were previously terminated. Also analysed are pre-trial proceedings completed or still continuing in other prosecutors' offices, the subject of which were or are improper actions taken by border guard officers, police and other services against persons who illegally cross the Belarusian-Polish border. This means that defenders of the Polish borders once again feel threatened by their own state instead of being supported. This is very dangerous because it first of all paralyses the freedom of action and first of all certainty of action of those who work on the border and who are supposed to prevent it from being crossed illegally. In June, journalists revealed a case in which Polish soldiers were detained and handcuffed for firing warning shots while defending the border. If Polish officers who are under tremendous pressure are in danger, as we all know, there is a war going on and the Lukashenko and Putin regimes want to attack the Polish border and are doing it, then in this case Polish soldiers and officers must not have dilemmas about whether they are allowed to defend the border. The services under Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who are so zealously after the defenders of Polish borders, still have not captured the murderers of our soldier Sergeant Mateusz Sitek. A few days ago, however, police, border guards and the Minister of the Internal Affairs and Administration issued announcements warning against the harassment of illegal migrants. Konrad Wąż, TV Republika.
Irish rock and blues star Rory Gallagher's 1961 Fender Stratocaster guitar, described as the most recognisable Strat in rock history because of its worn appearance, is headed for auction later this year, with an estimated price of up to $1.28 million.
Gallagher bought the electric guitar in 1963 for £100 on credit from the owner of Crowley's Music Store in the southern Irish city of Cork and played it up throughout his career.
So this is Rory Gallagher's iconic 1961 Fender Stratocaster. Known for his electrifying live performances, this was the guitar he used on stage and in studio. There's also a legend that says that this is the first Fender Stratocaster that came into Ireland. So it's also an important Fender guitar as well as an important Rory Gallagher guitar.
The Stratocaster, which has a price estimate of $898,000 to $1.28 million, is the leading lot for the Rory Gallagher collection auction, which will be held on October 17th at Bonhams in London and features around 150 items, including other guitars, amps, and accessories. Gallagher died in 1995, aged 47, and the items are being offered for sale by his family. His Stratocaster has featured in exhibitions and has been played by other guitarists, such as Joe Bonamassa and Johnny Marr.
That's the news. Thank you for watching, and from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.